Hey, they say that they winning, but to me it's just a blowout. Hey, every week we putting numbers on the board, we show out. Hey, all it took was just a bit of patience with the grind. You can never hold it back.
Welcome back to Drive the Lane on the Field of 68, presented by Bet Rivers. A lot to talk about today with just Joey and I. Here's the deal. Little season recap, review, grades. We're going to answer some questions. Of course, we're going to talk about the Villanova game. And we're going to give our thoughts just overall on the Ohio State season. First, recency, the Villanova game. Joey, it was as close as 2. I just saw Ohio State's tweet again that said 60-58. Got excited, realized the game was already over. You were in the building. Take it away.
We lost. I mean, I'm sad the season's over. Weird year. But in terms of the game, quick recap. Villanova's they're freaking good. They're a good team. They're a good team with good players, well coached. It's tough. Colin Gillespie is unbelievable, further proving that guards just take you so far in March. But man, the team Ohio State, they could have just rolled over and died and quit. I think about with like 15 minutes left in the game, it was like, we're down 15. It's like, what are we doing? Like, it's impossible to come back against Villanova. They don't turn the ball over. They don't miss free throws. They play slow. Like, it's impossible to come back. But sure enough, spearheaded by Kyle Young, had a couple of buckets, offensive rebounds, keeping balls alive, making plays on defense. We cut it to 2. Towards the end of that run is when Kyle got hurt and, knocked out for the rest of the game and what turned out to be the rest of his career. But yeah, it was a valiant effort. I mean, holy moly, we could have just rolled over and died. We didn't. Villanova, credit to them. They probably beat us 8 out of 10 times if we played that team. But like, the beauty of March is it only takes 1. I do think that losing Kyle for that finishing stretch of, call it 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it was that was the dagger. That was death sentence. I mean, like, we would have absolutely covered the spread, if not won the game, if Kyle was in there. You know what I mean? And that's just further me saying, like, it would have been much closer. 10 points, I don't think. People say, sometimes the score doesn't indicate the result, sort of deal, right? I think 10 points is fair, honestly, because they were up 10 all game. But like, we were in a position to compete to win that game in the final stretch. We had that. The last thing I'll say about the game is, besides Kyle getting hurt, the stretch that sticks out, and it's what everybody says sticks out, is the under 4 timeout happens. EJ gets fouled. They go to break. They go to timeout, and he's shooting 1-on-1 down 5. You almost are like, all right, well, we're at least down 4, if not down 3, after EJ makes both or at least one, and he missed the front end. So that was the first possession of the under 4 timeout. Then we come down and turn the ball over. Then we come down in and out 3, which I don't know how the ball didn't go in from Malachi. Then we come down and Zed has a moving screen. All on the flip side, Villanova didn't score on any of those possessions either. That was the chance to really, I mean, like, think about it. If Malachi hits that 3 and we score on another possession, we're at least tied, if not winning, because EJ should have made the free throws. So it's crazy.
Kyle was out for that stretch, which is the only reason why I don't just chalk it up to Kyle Young's out. That's why they didn't win the game. Like, they did have an opportunity, exactly what you're saying, where they got like multiple stops in the row. Yes, the offense runs a little more smoothly when Kyle's in there making better passes, setting better screens. But like, they did have their chances down the stretch. But they were gassed. I mean, Malachi had like 13 straight points at one point. Like, he obviously that 3 rattled and could have gone down, could have gone in, but like, they were gassed. EJ didn't really sit. Malachi didn't really sit. But I mean, we'll talk about those 3 guys a ton more. But like, I don't think that game changes my outlook on the season at all, which we're about to talk about, because that's not a game you're supposed to win necessarily. Obviously in March, everything's out the window. You look at like St. Peter's, who's not supposed to beat Kentucky. Obviously, March changes everything, but like you're not supposed to win. You're not supposed. We said after the Purdue game, like this is a team that's built to win in March, and that was very similar to how this game shook out, where they got down, but they just put their head down and came back. I enjoyed watching the game. I thought it was a fun, exciting game. Terrible result, but fun and exciting, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere is great. Tons of Villanova fans, good amount of Ohio State fans as well. I mean, pretty short drive from Columbus to Pittsburgh. Those games are fun, but like there was maybe a 3-minute stretch where at least me felt like, wow, we really have a chance. Those games are kind of frustrating, where it's just like, a foregone conclusion all game that it's going to end in a bad way for your team. Like no one likes those games. Villanova was the better team. That team is just, talk about built to win in March. Villanova just owns March. And we can talk more about the Villanova recent success because there's a ton of points I want to make about that, relating to Ohio State fans needing to have patience in Ohio State basketball and this coaching staff. But yeah, it was a fun game. It was like my first tournament game as a fan since I was in like elementary school. So it was cool to do that. Man, basketball is awesome. What's funny is that was a good game. It had a fun comeback. Like there were some good individual performances, but it wasn't even close to the best game of the day. I mean, that was just an incredible day of basketball. Poor Big Ten, man, they are getting throttled. I think it's safe to say that Big Ten may have been the deepest conference all year with multiple teams that could win games, could make a run in the tournament, but like they ain't the best conference in the country. Yeah. That's for sure.
I will say though, the two final teams remaining, obviously they ended their regular seasons in different positions, but like those were kind of the two teams that people were talking about. Them, Illinois, Purdue, and Michigan were the teams people were talking about. So, Michigan didn't look like this is where they'd be, but what is it? Their 5th straight Sweet 16.
Yeah, which is insane. Good for them, man. Jeez, that's a lot.
Yeah. So we got a ton of questions that's going to cover EJ, Kyle, Malachi next season, etc. But real quick about this season, I was kind of thinking about this earlier, like what would I grade the season? And I was kind of thinking that last year was like an A-. And if you make a tournament run,
last year when we lost in the first round to a 15 seed was an A-.
Well, the full season was an A- when they were ranked in the top 5. Well, that would go against your Holtman's been successul if the tournament changes the mindset of
tournament matters.
So what's an A- then if being the number 3 ranked team in the country? And
an A- would have been like at least we win a regular season, or to be an A, you got to have some sort of championship, I would think. Unless you were picked to finish last and made the Sweet 16 or something. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, so let's say last year's a B+.
It's as good of a year as you could have without any sort of, there was no accolades or anything. You know what I mean? No Sweet 16, right. No championship, right. Regular season or tournament. I mean, yeah. So I'm good with that.
And I was going to say that this year was a B-, and then the tournament win over Loyola kind of gets you closer to a B season.
Yeah, I would probably say a B, all things considered.
And I think last year, like, even though they lost one round later, last year was still a much better overall year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a good point you make about, what qualifies and everything. But like, I would say that last year was probably a more successful season just because the bigger chunk of the season, the conference tournament run, the success we had in the regular season definitely outweighs to at least to people who understand basketball and are rational, probably outweighs the crazy tournament loss. But like when you look at this year, the expectations were different. There was a ton of injuries. We overcame a lot, but we also fell short to a lot of things, like making it just like, and then you win a tournament game, but you lose the Big Ten. Like it's never going to be a C. Like it's never going to be a C. So like to me, a B is like a perfectly average season. It's like, hey, we did what we were supposed to do. We won a tournament game. All that's great. Undermanned, but also underperforming at the same time in stretches. Like just screams B to me.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you. I think it was a B season.
Yeah, I mean, but like at the end of the day, like, and I talked about it earlier today on Channel 10, but like it's just a big what if season. You know what I mean? Like it's big what could have been, what should have been. Like, yes, Seth Towns, that stinks, right? Like, yes, Jamari Wheeler, like we thought he was going to be a little bit better. Cedric Russell was supposed to replace Dwayne Washington, but Cedric's not Dwayne Washington. No one is, But like the biggest what if is Justice Sueing, not just having him in the lineup, like not having another body, not just having like an all Big Ten caliber performer in the lineup. He practiced all fall and all summer with the guys, and Holtman had the offense like predicated around him. Like it was going to be like he was getting the keys to the car, not Malachi, not EJ. Like he was going to run through Justice. And don't get me wrong, we're not dumb. Like EJ Liddell was still going to be an all-conference player of the year candidate, but Justice was going to make him so much better. They'll taking the load off of him in so many different ways. We probably don't get the same Malachi that we get if Justice doesn't play, but like such a big what if season. It even goes forward to that stretch run at the end of the year when we were losing to teams we shouldn't be losing to. No Kyle Young, no Zed Key. Like what if we were healthy all year? And it's not even what if we were healthy all year with Justice. It's what if we just had Kyle and Zed all year. With Kyle and Zed, we're probably one game out of winning the Big Ten. Double bye. Like, but without them, we ended up having a very mediocre conference record and looked like a mediocre team. But it's pretty clear, like that Loyola game, which we really didn't talk about, but awesome win. That Loyola game and even the majority of the Villanova game, like that's a good team. Not a 7 seed, probably. Not a 7 seed, so it's really interesting. To me, this season, we can give it whatever grade we want. And I'm not making excuses. I feel like these are facts, like these guys aren't there. Those are facts. Like it's a big what if season. And there's no doubt about it. We overperform sometimes. Think about the win at Illinois. Think about the win against Duke. Even the tournament game. No one picked us. We overperformed in plenty of games, but we underperformed plenty of times as well with good lineups and bad lineups. It's just a weird season. Weird season.
Yeah, the only thing about Justice, and you touched on it with Kyle and Zed, is like you would have expected that at the beginning of the season would have been where the majority of the struggles is, because all of a sudden you don't have Justice, so it's just an interesting dynamic. Like when they really struggled in the second half end of the year, definitely falls a ton on the Kyle and Zed injuries and Michi not really being able,
and the freaking condensed schedule because of COVID. Right. Like COVID's really to blame for Ohio State getting a 7 seed. Like imagine if this team doesn't get COVID. We were rolling. We were top 15 in the country. Yeah. Like all healthy besides Justice. Like big what if season.
Yeah. All right, should we move on to some questions?
Yeah, let's talk some questions. And then I'll have some. If questions don't get answered, I think we both have some final thoughts before we go. But we're hoping that we know that these questions are going to lead us into talking about everything else that you guys are going to want to hear about us reflecting on this Ohio State season.
All right, the first one is, and we posted on Twitter, and we've both been saying, shout out to EJ Liddell and Kyle Young, because everyone's like, oh, how can they be legends? Like Kyle, obviously we're not saying Kyle Young is the best Ohio State player ever and he's going to go make billions in the NBA. Glue guy. What a legend is.
Just like everyone loves Alex Caruso. Everyone loves like come on. Like don't be dumb, everybody. Aaron Kraft, love Aaron Kraft. He didn't play in the NBA. He doesn't lead Ohio State in points scored. Like David Lighty. Like those guys are like, holy moly, those are some of the greatest Buckeyes ever. Like, don't be dumb, people. Don't be dumb.
It's funny. People are so hesitant to call Kyle Young a legend. And people are like, oh, EJ's a legend, blah, blah, blah. But, like, think about how much better, and this is no offense, we love Kraft. Kraft is Ohio State legend. Like, think about EJ just as, like, a basketball player better of a basketball player he is than Aaron Kraft. It's like, well, that guy's not a legend. So it's also up to us who we think are legends.
Yeah, and I can't believe I have to argue EJ Liddell's an Ohio State legend. The dude was, I don't know if he made the all freshman team his freshman year, 2-time first team all Big Ten.
Yeah.
Tell me how many guys were 2-time first team all Big Ten that aren't legends. Someone, please let me know.
Yeah.
First team, people. First team. God, how dumb would you be?
So the question is favorite EJ moment, favorite Kyle moment. I have an answer for both in my mind. I'll say my EJ one first. You'll give your first Kyle one. You get the gist of it.
Okay.
My favorite EJ moment was when he started off the Northwestern game making 4 or 5 threes, whatever that was, because that was just so cool and like he was pumped up. It was a huge lead. I think they ended up letting that game get close, which was very symbolic of this season. But that was just so cool because it was kind of like a, hey, NBA scouts who said I need to go back and show that I could shoot. Here's a tape.
5 in a row.
Yeah. So that's my favorite EJ moment.
I have so many favorite Kyle Young moments. Obviously spent a lot of time with him. I think about just reflecting on his career, I think about when he came to Ohio State and I took him and Dockich, who were on campus for the first time. I took them to Bibby Bop and basically got to know them for the first time ever, sitting there eating Bibby Bop in the middle of Ohio State's campus. No one could give a shit at all about these. We sucked. Ohio State basketball sucked. No one really cared about me at all at this point in my career, which I'm not sitting here like tuning my own horn, but like eventually I got to the point where I went to Chipotle and people were like, hey, Joey, good game last night, but no one cared about me, Dockich, and Kyle sitting there on campus. Meanwhile, you fast forward 4 years from now, if you saw Kyle Young, Andrew Dockich, and me eating on campus, like it would be hilarious, right? So I think about that moment as like just a funny moment, but my favorite Kyle Young moment is from my junior year, his freshman year. He didn't play a ton, but he gave us great minutes when he did play. He was a really good compliment to Keita and JT when Caleb was in foul trouble and stuff. Like he didn't play a ton, but in Madison Square Garden against Minnesota, we were blowing them out. And we got a 2-on-1 fast break. We gave it to Kyle, and he dunked on this guy on Minnesota so bad. The 3-photo stretch of him like rising up and like literally putting his nuts on this dude's face in the mecca of basketball at Madison Square Garden in a huge win. We went 8-0 in conference after that win. Like just an awesome moment for KY. The KY moment that everyone loves is the Michigan game when he got his jersey ripped. That's the all-time Kyle Young moment, but I wasn't his teammate then. So I'm going to go to when I was his teammate. I think about the Purdue game when he had like 21 points in the first half.
Oh, that game.
He got a concussion, but like that game was unbelievable. There's just.
What about this year when he had the steal against Purdue?
Yes, that was unbelievable as well. I think about there's so many. Oh man, what else was I? There was another one that I was thinking about Kyle. Against UCLA at the United Center, that was when he like finally we were like, oh, Kyle makes free throws now. This is good. He had a couple dunks, a loose ball that he dove for on half court, and Bill Rafferty fell in love with him in that game. You call back, he's like, I love this guy's kicker. Unbelievable. There's so many moments. There's just Kyle. I could go on for Kyle for days. You got a Kyle one that I didn't mention?
Not one that you didn't mention, but every time he came on the show, it was fun because he was like, it was like really hard to get him to like, not like laugh, but like we like kind of messed with him in a sense. Every time we'd have him on, like we'd talk about serious stuff, but then we would like, and he would always end up cracking. And you always joked about how he would be like, hey man, like, what are we talking about on the episode? Like it's just funny that like one of your friends couldn't really turn off the like coach speak, or like media speak, but we always got him to. So there's just those were fun. And then when we would have one more about EJ is like, we had EJ on we had EJ on last year, and we didn't know what he was going to be like this year. So like, it was funny that we had him last year and we had him this year, and it was the same guy on both of them.
Yeah, the EJ interview with Justin in person after the Duke game was one of my favorite interviews we've done.
100%. We cursed Justin.
Yeah, it's all right. It happens. But I'll give a Justin moment too. But my favorite EJ moment, there's a couple. I remember my senior year, my first year out, his freshman year. His kind of coming out party was at home against Illinois when he was like, I own Illinois. He had that huge block when we were like up 5 with a few minutes left. The crowd went nuts. That was senior night. Like, that huge block he had is always replayed all the time. Young EJ, like, that was his coming out party. So I love that moment. I think about when I hosted him on campus, which is just insane. When I hosted him and drove him home after a night out, and we're in the car and he's asking me great questions about Ohio State, and I'm talking about Ohio State, and we just had a moment where I was like, look, man, I'm not going to play with you next year. There's almost nothing in this for me. Like, your success, yeah, I'll be happy that Ohio State does well, but like, I'm not going to be your teammate. So let me just be honest with you. I love this coaching staff. I love this university. You'll be an instant legend here, and you just won't regret your decision based on what you've told me you are looking for. And having that moment with a kid who clearly understood, like, hey, like, this is what I want. This is I want to go somewhere for the right reasons. And like, knowing from the jump how special he was going to be, and when he committed, like, that moment was really awesome as well. And he's just been an incredible guy, incredible representative for the university. His family is awesome. Him and his mom and my mom get along pretty well, which is hilarious, being 2 Illinois moms. But yeah, man, EJ, like, he's going to be an incredible NBA player. He's going to make some team and some GM look really, really smart and be really, really happy. I guess I do want to give a shout out to Justin as well, because he was recognized on senior night. Like, I love the guy. He's not going to play in a Buckeye uniform again, but he'll play again. He'll transfer, I think. That's what it seems like. And I really don't know any inside information on that. Just the fact that he was recognized at senior night just kind of just lets everybody know, when he had a billion threes against Iowa his freshman year. Unbelievable. Love that kid. Great teammate, great person, great family. One of the best leaders and teammates I've been around at Ohio State. I think about his freshman year, all of the freshmen were playing and contributing at a really high level. You think about Dwayne, Luther starting at times, both of them. Jadon Ladie played a ton because Caleb was always in foul trouble and Micah transferred. So, like, those guys were playing a ton. Justin barely played at all. Barely played. But he was the first guy off the bench. Great teammate. Always high energy. Great practice guy. Like, did whatever needed to be done. And he had a tough senior year, and I feel really bad for him. But, like, not like a guy that should be forgotten in terms of Buckeyes, man. Like, he, an Ohio kid, gave it his all. I'm excited to see what he does next. So it wouldn't be fair if we didn't give a shout out to Justin as well.
Absolutely. I agree. And he was great on the show. So moving on, people obviously have a ton of questions about next year.
Yeah.
The first one, I'm just going to ask you this. This is kind of a combination of a bunch of questions.
Okay.
EJ kind of left the door open, but Holtman has been shutting that down. Like, it's weird that EJ left the door open.
It was pretty respectful of him. Like, it was Ohio State's moment, right? He's reflecting on his Ohio State career. It's not about him. That's not his moment to say, I'm going pro. Like, every kid wants that press conference. They want the Instagram post. You know what I mean? Like, he was right to do it that way, I think. Like,
I would agree with you 100% if Holtman before the season wasn't like, this is EJ's.
I know.
Last year. Like, I just thought it was kind of weird. The whole thing has been weird from that being said to.
He was recognized on senior night. Like, he's not coming back,
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Malachi, I've never been more sure, in my opinion, that someone's going to leave than I am at this moment. Like, obviously, I say, like, I was pretty sure when I said it, whatever, 3 or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm, like, pretty sure right now because he had, as you said, one big game on his biggest stage, like literally round of 32, comeback against Villanova. He played his best that he's played. And, I mean, other freshmen like Bryce McGowan's declaring, like, he's going to see that kind of stuff. Obviously, we don't know exactly how he operates, how his brain operates, but like the mock drafts just have him going so high. And I personally think if he comes back, he maybe moves from like I think the highest he could go right now is like 14. That's the highest I've seen. If he comes back, what's the highest he goes? 9. Like, I don't see him coming back and being the top 3 pick. I don't think the gap is as big as it was when we started talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jaden Ivey is the perfect example, right? Jaden Ivey was a first-round pick and moved into a lottery pick. And the fact that Malachi is a borderline lottery pick now, it makes it a little bit different scenario. I sit here as like, my mindset for Malachi is like, look, we know he's a great kid with a great head on his shoulders, comes from a great family. And like, that coaching staff is going to steer him in the right direction, whatever's best for him. Whatever decision he makes, I'm going to trust that it is the right decision in his best interest based on all the feedback he's gotten from coaches, from NBA scouts, from teams, etc. I'll be all for whatever decision he makes. If I'm him, like, I don't know how you turn down a first round pick.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate, coming back to Ohio State where it's going to be a young team. It's going to be his team. You get Justice Sueing back to be like your running mate. The recruiting class is unbelievably great. You've got an opportunity to cement yourself not only as a Buckeye legend, but like a Big Ten legend and a college basketball legend. You come back, you are instantly in the running for college, for Big Ten Player of the Year, if not college basketball Player of the Year. If you want to cement your college legacy and be one of the best Buckeyes in recent memory, then, he's a Columbus kid. I think that factors in probably. If you want to be the guy that got Coach Holtman and Ohio State over this recent hump and getting them to a Sweet 16 and winning them a regular season or a Big Ten tournament title, I think that stuff factors in and matters to anybody, any athlete, any competitor. Granted, I don't know if any of that is going to matter enough, but at the end of the day, that's kind of the devil's advocate argument is like, hey, like you got a chance to do what EJ Liddell did. EJ came back, first team again, third team All-American in the running for Player of the Year, like one of the best 15 players in college. Like it just depends on if that matters to you, which can't argue with you if it doesn't.
Yeah, we also don't know what his opinions are like on school and like college life. Like we have no idea about that. There's people who like love
what if he just wants to party?
Right. We don't know. I'm saying we don't know if he feels like that. He might be like, dude, I hate going to school. I hate going to class. Like we don't know about that. And I also think like Ohio State's like alumni are so cool. And he was part of the alumni day last summer. Like you see D'Angelo Russell coming in, you see Mike Conley, like Greg Oden's probably talking to him about the NBA. Like who knows the kind of conversation, like he may have made his decision. He could have made his decision a month ago,
Yeah.
So, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Either way, we're adding hopefully 2 more NBA players to our list of people we've interviewed.
Yeah. I think the last argument is like, who knows? Like NIL, like he could make a lot of money as well. Like maybe he's like, you know what? But I think that's the dumbest argument ever. But
he's not gonna make $9 million on NIL. I mean, that would be crazy.
I mean, good enough to hold you over, Andrew. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We don't know. All it takes is one scout to say, if you're there 15, we want you. And I've said
maybe he'll announce on our show.
That would be really cool, but unlikely. There's a better chance he announces he comes back on our show than leaves. Because if he leaves, he's going to want to. Well, I guess they used us for the announcement when he won Freshman of the Year, so you never know.
That is so unbelievably funny still, but yeah. Who knows?
All right, next question. Seth Towns and Justice, do they come back for one more year? And if so, what are realistic expectations for each of them coming off of their injuries? Joey, I will let you tackle Justice from like a basketball player standpoint. You've had injuries. You've been around guys who've had injuries. I'll say this about Seth Towns from like a fan perspective. Like if you're expecting anything other than like being excited if he can be on the court next year, then like you gotta change your expectations. Like as a fan, I'm like, I hope like either he goes somewhere where he can play a lot and he's okay to do that, or I hope he stays around and he gets some minutes and he can contribute. Like, if your expectation is next year Seth Towns is going to be in the starting lineup and you're getting Ivy League Player of the Year Seth Towns, like, yes, you're going to be disappointed. That's a best crazy best case scenario. I'm here to say that you should be hoping that this kid who's had terrible injury problems will get to step on the court next year.
Yeah, and I can't disagree. I mean, I'd say, with Seth, they're both coming back. For Seth, Columbus kid, like, he wants a chance to really give it a full go at being an Ohio State Buckeye. And to your point, Andrew, if he can give us 20 minutes a game as a guy off the bench who can shoot it, and be a veteran presence for a really young team, I think that that's going to go a long way.
Has there ever been a more guaranteed captain?
Yeah, Kyle Young this year.
Fair.
But yeah, so Justice, it's interesting, man. Like, I think that was a nagging injury that if he played through it this year, it would have suffered like for the rest of his career type stuff, so I think he's going to come back 100% healthy. I think he's going to be a huge piece to the puzzle of making this team successful. I think that you're looking at the go-to guy on the team coming into the year, and a guy that is going to be the leader, the face, the vocal guy. They're going to run a lot of stuff through him. He's going to be involved in every single thing that goes on that team. I think he's ready for that. I think he's excited for it. If he's got Malachi with him, it's going to make him that much better. But yeah, man, Justice is going to be full go. You expect a lot from him. He's got to be an all Big Ten caliber player. Seth, whatever he gives you is gravy. I think that he is going to contribute as long as he's healthy. I think there's a spot for him on any team in the country as a stretch four who can shoot it, So I think expectations wise, whatever you get from Seth is going to be awesome. I think you expect him to be like off the bench, 15, 20 minutes a game guy, maybe more if you're lucky. And then with Justice, and then with Justice, you are sitting there with expectations of, okay, this guy is going to be an all Big Ten caliber player who's going to lead the team, who's going to be the main focus on offense, and hopefully is a guy that's going to get a ton of help from young guys and transfer portal guys, because that's what the makeup's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, there's questions. What's the team going to look like next year? Which freshman is going to contribute the most? Like, so much is going to happen between right now and when next season tips off. Like, if Malachi comes back, you might not see every single freshman come. Like, stuff changes. There might be guys who, and obviously, all the recruits probably assumed that Malachi was going to be on the team when they were freshmen anyway, but like, you never know what has happened in the last few months. So there's a question, predict the starting lineup from next year for next year. Like, that's going to literally be impossible until a week before the season opener.
Yeah. I mean, like, the makeup of the team is going to be those 5 freshmen that are coming in that are all great. And I expect 4 out of 5 of them to contribute at a high level. There's going to be a ton of transfer portal guys. We're losing like 7 guys probably.
Wait, I got a question for you that has to do with this.
Okay.
So people are asking, like, what's Eugene Brown going to average next year? He's not a guy that in the Big Ten, I think you're ever going to get 10 points per game. If Eugene Brown was on a Vermont or a Loyola Chicago, is he averaging closer to 10 points per game, or is he the same type of player no matter where he is?
I mean, if he makes jump shots, I mean, like, all he does is shoot open threes and get a couple layups maybe a game. You know what I mean? Like, when he gets his career high, it's because he had like 4 offensive rebounds with putbacks and made a couple threes, make free throws. He's not a scorer. It's not his game. I think that, like, he's a guy that, like, and don't take this the wrong way, but he's a guy, like, if he was in the NBA, he would average the same thing as he does in college, because he's in the NBA for different reasons than scoring the ball. So I mean, like, Eugene Brown, he's got to take a big step. Like, he has to. Does that mean scoring 12 points? No, but he's got to be more of a threat on offense. Like, Villanova left him wide open all game yesterday. And if you're a 3-and-D guy who can't shoot threes, then that's tough to get you on the court. So he's got to take a big step. I don't know what he's going to average, but him and Michi, man, and I don't, who knows if guys are going to transfer. Michi, Justin Ahrens, Eugene Brown. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them transferred. I don't think. I
mean, Michi, they got so many guards coming in. Like, obviously, the expectation.
If you're Michi, you're not running away from it. You're supposed to be next in line, sort of deal. But like,
yeah.
But who knows?
You're 3 years ago, you're not running away from it. But if there's a team that's like, we will hand you the keys and you have no comment, like there's attractive offer. If there's an attractive offer out there.
Right. No, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, like you just, until we know who's transferring and who's coming in, like we're literally going to get, I guarantee you, beyond with freshmen and transfers, there's 9 new faces next year.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be 9 new guys. Like, there's no way to even know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that whoever's there out of the guys that I mentioned, like the sophomores, Zed, Eugene, Michi, all of them have to take a big step. Like, Zed was supposed to take a big step this year, and at times he did, and at times he did not. Like, he was borderline unplayable in some games, which we love the guy, but he just was, especially with Kyle playing as well as he was. So all 3 of those guys got to take a big step if we want to have a really successful season.
All right. No more questions because they're all kind of similar. We nailed all of them. I'll check Instagram and see if there's any more on there. But for you,
for me,
closing statement on the season. We've talked about a lot on this episode, so I know Musa Jallo asked the question. So he said, have we settled the door wheel debate?
It's wheels. What do you think?
It's definitely wheels. But let's hear what your closing statements are for this season.
Yeah, like what I'll leave Buckeye Nation with and for Drive the Lane, and we've mentioned it. We're not done. This is not the last episode. Like, we will go through the college basketball season. We'll talk about Purdue. We'll talk about Michigan. Like, we'll talk about the rest of the games as they pan out. Maybe get a fun guest in there.
We'll shout out the bracket winner.
Yeah, we'll shout out the bracket winner. Don't worry. But my message to Buckeye Nation is pretty simple, and I really hope you take it to heart and don't look at this like an excuse, because it's not. You got to be patient, everybody. Got to be patient. Rome wasn't built in one day. I know Ohio State fans have expectations that are, insane at some points, which is fine. That's what makes Ohio State the best, is because we expect the best. And that expecting the best is not something that should be changed, but be patient. Couple examples I want to give you. Scott Drew, who won the national championship with Baylor. He took over Baylor and they were terrible. And it took a long time for them to become relevant. I'm talking 10 years before they were winning games in the NCAA tournament, before they were making Sweet 16s and eventually winning the national championship last year in like his 17th year as the coach or something. That's one example. Tony Bennett, the knock on him was always, wow, great regular season coach, but he loses in the first round, second round of the tournament every single year. Well, fast forward a couple more years, and he wins the NCAA championship on the heels of some incredible seasons as well. So that's another great example. And the best example is the team that we just beat and who Coach Holtman models a lot of what Ohio State is, or who we just lost to, and who he models a lot of his program after, is Villanova. Jay Wright took him 10 years before he won a game and before he went to the Sweet 16. And now they are one of, if not the program in the country in terms of national champions, NBA players, Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four appearances. Like, that team is just the March fixture. Like, they are March Madness. And it took them a long time to do it. And they had really good players too. It wasn't like they were just losing with Andrew Dockages and Joey Lanes. Like, they were losing with Scotty Reynolds, and they were losing with some really, really incredible players. And it took, a long time until they made a run in the tournament, until they made the Final Four and won the national championship back in 2015 or 16. So my final message is patience. I understand the frustration. I get it. I'm not saying you are crazy for being frustrated. I love that. You should expect the best. Don't be okay with average. That's not what I'm saying. But be patient. It will come. The culture is built at Ohio State. The foundation is there. We are getting great players. We just need to get over the hump one time and we'll be good. I understand the frustration, but be patient. Good things come to those who wait. And, we get there every single time. We just got to win the big one, and we will. And just stick with it. Be a champion of this program. Love these players. Love these coaches. Be a positive influence in their lives. And you just don't know what could happen. So be patient. That's my final message.
I think that's a great final message. My final message is buckle up. No, I'm just kidding. My final message is I think that in a few years, people are going to be like, how did Coach Holtman not win with Malachi and EJ, two great NBA players? And just remember that EJ was incredible. The struggles that the team had with injuries this year when Malachi kind of emerged, because in a few years, people are going to be like, how did this team not win the national championship? That's not how basketball works. You could say, how did Murray State not win the national championship with John Morant? Guess who didn't win the national championship? Duke, with RJ Barrett and Zion as freshmen, because people.
LeBron never won a national championship in college. One of the best players ever. One of.
So my message is this. Unfortunately, you're not getting 4 years of EJ. Unfortunately, you're most likely not getting 2 years of Malachi. Those guys are going to be fun NBA dudes. And following Buckeyes in the NBA is very fun. That's my message. You like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. People get so mad about Holtman and all these different things. It's like people are going to be mad like when we're like, who knows? Malachi leaves and we suck next year.
Wait, you know what? One of the things people are mad is that Holtman's never had a one and done. And now people are saying Malachi's not good enough to leave. They're literally saying,
exactly. And the final piece to that dumb puzzle that people do is he's going to leave. And we might stink. And then people are going to go, oh my God, Holman, blah, blah, blah. Well, sorry that he developed Malachi into a first round pick and it screwed up the whole timeline of everything. Sorry he developed Dwayne Washington into an NBA player and he left before his time. Sorry he did that with EJ too. Come on, guys, choose one lane and stick with it.
My roommate said this yesterday, Malachi, Rudy Gay.
Rudy Gay. I don't hate that.
Not a perennial all-star. Obviously, we would hope Malachi becomes that, but just a guy that
long,
gets buckets.
Mid-range assassin. Yeah.
When Malachi perfects his left hand, he's going to be. I mean, he's already unguardable. I literally think every shot that Malachi and EJ take are going in.
I think so with Malachi. EJ it looks so crazy when he shoots it. So it just freaks me out a little bit. But everything Colin Gillespie shoots, I think, is going in. And wait, Andrew, I guess at this point, we've seen the first two rounds. Who's your national champ now?
I still think one of the three remaining one seeds is going to win. Gonzaga had their scare.
Going out on a limb there.
Yeah. I mean, literally all four could have lost. But
yeah, great games.
Arizona had that crazy game. I mean, Mathurin is incredible. I don't know if the listeners stayed up last night on Eastern time. That game ended almost at 12:30, but that was one of the craziest endings to a basketball game I've ever seen ever. But my pick is Gonzaga, Arizona, or Kansas. I know that's not very bold. I have a future on Duke, so I would prefer if Duke wins, and then also Ohio State beat the national champs. So turn those thumbs up, because then by default, who's the national champs?
Ohio State.
Which would be 2 of the last 3 years, because they won that simulated thing when the tournament was canceled on ESPN, and then they would win this year.
And Penn State would also be national champions. So congrats to them.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. It's only
one removed.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that, because my actual NCAA, and I'm just gonna get freaky, I think UNC might win, man. There's something about that team. They're so unbelievably good on offense, and they've figured it out. There's something to be said about figuring it out. In March, they figured it out. So that's who my sneaky pick is.
I mean, they had 22 wins this year. It was so weird. Who
were on the bubble? It was so.
That's what's weird. It's Michigan's in, Indiana's in the play-in, North Carolina's on the bubble, but They have more wins than like half the teams in the whole thing is weird. I hate the tournament. I'm out on the tournament. I'm out on March Madness.
I'm out.
I'm never watching another game again. Oh,
me neither.
Shout out. Ohio State has officially won a March Madness game during the Drive the Lane era.
Oh, that's huge. Also, let's give a couple shout outs. Shout out to the Ohio State women's hockey team for winning the national championship. I mean, come on.
Poor timing to be during the Villanova game, but.
Yeah, I was driving home and I was like, oh man, we won the national championship. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I got back to being sad about Ohio State basketball.
Shout out to Josh Schaffner, our biggest fan. But he kind of cheats on us because he's the biggest fan of Titus and Tate too.
Yeah.
So shout out to me for not being happy that the Browns got Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, good for you. Attaboy.
Any more shout outs?
Shout out to Patrick Williams playing his first game for the Bulls tonight.
Oh, shout out Ryan Peden, officially done with Ohio State.
And shout out to
Romeo, who won a championship with St. Vincent St. Mary's. So associative property. Shout out to Malachi.
Okay, I'm not clapping for that one.
Shout out to Mizzou, got a head coach.
Shout out to Mizzou, Ohio guy too, which we'll get him on.
Ohio and Chicago guy.
We're gonna get him on. We have to.
Yeah. Well, you know who his director of recruiting is?
Who?
Drew Joyce. Not sure if he's going with to Mizzou. We will see. All right, we got to wrap this up. Any more shout outs?
Shout out to Jalen for Villanova winning. He how about this? I'm at the game. He texts me when they're up like 6-2 and look like they're world beaters. Or like it was like 7-3, I think. He texts me and goes, "Hey man, you want to do a gentleman's bet on this game?" And I was like, "What is a gentleman's bet to you, Jalen?" He's like $100, and I was like, "No." So shout out to him for winning. He even texted me an hour or like 2.5 hours after the game had ended. He texted me and said, "Aren't you proud of me for not texting you after the game?" Like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. So shout out to him for not texting me after the game, but then FaceTiming me to gloat in my face before hanging up on me and saying, "I got to call your mom. Hold on." And called my mom to gloat in her face and my dad. So last shout out to him. He needs more wins and successes in his life.
I just want to let you know that the next football/basketball game is Notre Dame. So if you want to do a beat someone at the end, you can say beat Notre Dame.
No, that's okay.
Is it football? Is it football season?
No, I'm not ready for it. It's baseball season. Shout out to all the seam heads out there.
I actually think Ohio State women's is playing right now.
Yeah, should we let's give a quick
score update. Let me find it. Ooh, they're up 34-26 at half. Shout out Ohio State women's.
I just got followed by the Cayman Islands Classic.
Congratulations. Shout out to Cayman Islands Classic.
It's a Division I men's basketball tournament held yearly in the Cayman Islands. 8 teams, 12 games. November 21st to the 23rd.
We'll see you in the Cayman Islands.
See you in the Cayman Islands. What if we became the official podcast of the Cayman Islands tournament?
Oh, that would be unbelievable.
Just like Titus and Tate are the podcast of the Maui Invitational. We'll just literally follow each thing that they do. We'll do something that's like a step below, but
we already do that with TBT.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Buckle up. Drive the lane. Beat Notre Dame.
Go. Hey, everyone, forever and always, it's a great day to be a Buckeye. Be grateful that you are a Buckeye. Go Buckeyes.